Okay, so I'm going to go over a few quick questions you might have from the study guide. Number 2, which statements are true based on the graph below? Select all that apply. This graph is using rise over run, and it's using the slope to form the third side of a triangle. So the first one says the slope of the line is positive, and since it's going down to the right, that's not true. So it is negative, the second choice. The third says the slope of the line is equal to EF over DE. Well, EF would be run over DE is rise, so it's run over rise, which doesn't work. The next choice says the slope of the line is equal to CB over BA. Well, CB is here, BA is here, and it is rise over run in one triangle, so this is true. Now, the next two choices are talking about similar and not similar, which we haven't really talked about this year. But if they have the same slope, they will be similar, and you won't be tested on that. We'll go ahead and mark that. Number 4, it gives us the cost for building a new home per number of square feet shown in the graph for 2 cities. And it says which statement is true based on the graph. The big thing I want you to see here is that the steeper a slope is, then the greater the slope is. So the slope for St. Louis, Missouri is the steepest, so it's the largest cost per square foot, and so it would be answer choice A. Number 5, what is the slope and y-intercept of line P graphed below? Well, let's just start with the y-intercept. The y-intercept is the point where it crosses the y-axis, which is here at 3. So b equal 3, and we could write it as the ordered pair 0, 3. So that eliminates 2 choices. And then we're looking at slope. The slope is going down to the right, so the slope will be a negative number. So m equals some kind of negative number. And we could just pick 2 points the line goes through. I'm going to pick those 2 points and say it goes down 3, right 2. So negative 3, whoops, we already said negative, over positive 2. And so we get answer choice A. Number 7 is a similar problem to one we looked at a little while ago. We have these 2 right triangles, and they show slope of a line using rise over run. And so we look through our answer choices and find out which one's true. A says the absolute value of the slope of the line is equal to AB over BC. If we say AB over BC, then we're doing run over rise, so that doesn't work. Okay, answer choice B, the absolute value of the slope of the line is equal to DE over EF. That is rise over run, so that would be true. Let's check the other ones just to be sure. C says the absolute value of the slope of the line is BC over EF. Well, that is rise over run, but the problem is it's not the same triangles. It's not dealing with the same segments. So that one does not work. And the last one says the measure of angle B is greater than the measure of angle E. And if you look at the measure of angle B, it's a right triangle, and it's just a right angle. Measure E is a right angle. They're both 90 degrees, so that doesn't work. Number 10 asks, which equation best represents the dashed line in the graph? Well, let's look for the slope, and let's look for the y-intercept, so we can plug them into the equation. So the y-intercept is the point it crosses the y-axis, which is at 20. The slope is rise over run. So we look at our graph and find 2 points. I'm going to choose 0, 20, which we've already got marked. And I'm going to choose 580 because the line clearly goes through where the grid lines for 5 and 80 cross. And so we're going to rise, careful, it's not rising 3, it's going from 20 up to 80, so we're going to rise 60, and then we're going to run from 0 to 5, so it's going positive 5, so the slope is 12. So the y equal mx plus b is y equal 12x plus 20, which is answer choice D. Number 14, It asks, what was Danny's climbing rate? And it gives you different measures in minutes per foot or feet per minute. And so I want you to notice that if we think of rise over run, our rise is the feet, the run is the minutes. So it's going to be feet per minute in our answer. And we can find that in this graph. You can just find a point. We know it goes through 0, 0, and it goes through at 10:30. And we can use that it goes up 30 feet in 10 minutes. So it's 3 feet per minute, which is answer choice B. Number 15, if you were to graph a line with the slope of 5 halves that intercepts the y-axis at -2 on the coordinate plane, one point on that line would have a y-coordinate of 3 with an x-coordinate of what number? So this is a different kind of problem, but I would just start by graphing the line that it describes. It tells you it crosses or intercepts the y-axis at -2. So there's -2 on the y-axis. It has a slope of 5 halves. That means it's going to rise 5, run 2. So I'm going to go up 5, right 2. And I can draw a line through those points as best as I can. It's not going to be perfect. But it does give an indicator of what it's describing. It says one point on that line would have a y-coordinate of 3 and an x-coordinate of what number? So that is describing this point. It's the only point that has a y-coordinate of 3, and it would be at the point 2, 3. And so then we're just naming what the x-coordinate is there, and it is 2. So we figured that out by graphing the line that it described and then just looking at what information it's asking from there. The graph below shows the number of drawings that Harini finishes after a certain number of days have passed. Based on the graph, how many new drawings does Harini finish each day? Okay, well, after 1 day, she's finished 1 drawing. At 2 days, she's finished 2 drawings. At 3 days, she's finished 3 drawings. So she's finishing 1 new drawing each day. Number 17, what's the slope of the line whose graph contains the points 2, 5, and 3, 6? So we're going to look at this on the side. We have 2, 5, and 3, 6. And we're just finding slope. So we're going to use the slope formula. I'm going to label my first ordered pair as x sub 1, y sub 1. My second ordered pair is x sub 2, y sub 2. And I'm going to go to my slope formula, m equals the change of the y's over the change of the x's, and I plug them in. Y sub 2 is 6 minus y sub 1 is 5, over x sub 2 is 3 minus x sub 1 is 2, and we get 1 over 1, which just simplifies to 1. For numbers 20 through 23, it says write the equation of the line that passes through each pair of points in slope-intercept form. So we're not just finding slope, we're writing an equation. So to write an equation, we start with slope. Oops. So we have x sub 1, y sub 1, x sub 2, y sub 2. And so first we're going to find slope. We're going to use that slope is the change of the y's over the change of the x's. So we get y sub 2 is 1 minus y sub 1 is negative 3 over x sub 2 is negative 1 minus x sub 1 is 3. 1 minus negative 3 is like 1 plus 3, which is 4. Negative 1 minus 3 is negative 4. So we get the slope is negative 1. Our next step, second step, we want to find the y-intercept. That's B, the point where the line crosses the y-axis. So to get B, we're going to plug into y equal mx plus b. We've got that m is negative 1, and we just choose one of the 2 points at the top. I'm going to go ahead and choose 3, negative 3. I just pick one of them and label it as x and y. So y is negative 3, equal m is negative 1 times x is positive 3 plus b, our only unknown. Negative 1 times 3 is negative 3. And we just keep solving for b. To get rid of negative 3, I'm going to add 3. And what I do to one side, I do to the other. It cancels on both sides, so on the left we have 0, and on the right we have b. So b is 0. And our final step is just to write the equation. And y equal mx plus b. So we've got that the slope is negative 1, and b is 0. And I could simplify that a little, and I could say y equal negative x, and I'm finished. For numbers 24 through 27, we're graphing an equation. We've got 3 different methods we could use. We could use a table of values, or you can use the x and y intercepts or the slope-intercept form. A table of values is easiest if it's already in y equals. But if it's in y equals, you could also use slope-intercept form. The x and y intercepts are easiest if it's not in y equal form. So let's look at number 24, and we're going to use the x and y intercepts on 24. So for the x-intercept, that's where y is 0. So we have x minus 0 equal 4, or x equal 4, so we've got the ordered pair, 4, 0. Now to get the y-intercept, that's where x is 0. So we have 0 minus y equal 4, or negative y equal 4. Divide both sides by negative 1 to get y by itself, and y is negative 4. So we have 0, negative 4 for that ordered pair. So we have 4, 0, and it's on the x-axis. We have 0, negative 4. It's also on the x-axis, and then we just draw a line through them, and we've graphed the line. Number 25, I'm going to use the x and y intercepts again because it's not in y equals. So I'm going to plug in 3x plus 5y equal 15, but we're going to use 0 for y. So I have 5 times 0. So we have 3x plus 5 times 0, which is just 0. So 3x equal 15. Divide both sides by 3, and x is 5. So we get 5, 0. I'll go ahead and plot that point. Now for the y-intercept, that is where x equals 0. So we have 3 times 0 plus 5y equal 15. 3 times 0 is 0, plus 5y is just 5y. Divide both sides by 5, and y is 3. So when x is 0, y is 3. And we just draw our line through our points. Number 26, we have in y equal 1/2 x plus 3. It's easiest just to recognize that m, the slope, is 1/2, and b, the y-intercept, is 3. So I start on the y-intercept where the y value is 3, and then I'm going to use slope, rise over run, from 3. So I'm going to go up 1, right 2, plot my point. Up 1, right 2, plot my point. That's the same thing as going backwards, which is negative 1 over negative 2. It means I can go down 1, left 2, plot my point. Down 1, left 2, plot my point. And then I draw a line through the points, and I'm finished. I've graphed that equation. Number 27, the slope is negative 3. The y-intercept is negative 2. So I'm going to start at negative 2 on the y-axis, and then that slope using rise over run would be negative 3 over positive 1, or we could also say positive 3 over negative 1. So I'm going to go down 3, right 1, which is here, or I could go up 3, left 1, which is here, and I could keep going throughout the coordinate plane, and then just draw a line through the points, and you've graphed the line and are finished. Remember, if you have any further questions, you can send me a message through inbox, and then check inbox for a reply.